Good morning, this is Dick Zondag, Jung's Garden Doctor, and this morning we're going to talk about one of the easiest crops to grow. Now there are three types of garlic, two of which are true garlics and one of which is not. The one that's not is the elephant garlic. It's really a leek, but they call it a garlic because it looks very much like a garlic. It grows very much like a garlic, and so we're going to plant some of the elephant garlic in our raised bed garden. Last year we planted some in the soil in my garden. We had reasonable luck. One of the things that I didn't keep on top of was the weeds in the garden. We have a lot of thistles, and the straw that I used had quite a bit of weed seed in it, and so although I got a nice crop of garlic, it wasn't what I normally would like to get. And so this year we're going to use one of the raised beds in our Centennial Park here in Randolph. The other two types of garlic are the hardneck and the softneck garlics. We have two examples, one example of each. I've chosen Italian late for the softneck garlics. We're going to try and grow some of the softnecks here, even though the hardnecks are what are really used in the north. So first off, the hardneck that I have chosen is Silver Rose, and what we want to do is we want to separate the cloves. So you gently get the garlic bulb separated. The cloves surround that center point, and so we take the cloves off. We take the white husk from around it off first, and then we separate the cloves. I'm going to be separating out the soft neck now. They tend to have smaller cloves than the hard neck, and so we're going to have to be a little less choosy with the cloves that we use. Now, some people will soak the cloves overnight in a solution that has a little bit of fertilizer in it, and I don't think that's a bad thing to do. We're not going to do that this morning, but you'd use a fertilizer that doesn't have a lot of nitrogen, and I would think probably at half strength. And I would put it in the refrigerator overnight if you want to get that extra little zing. Now we're planting them late in the fall because we want the plants to develop roots and not tops. And so you want the soil a little bit cool when you plant them so that the roots develop and the greens don't come up. Although you'll probably see some greens before the snow flies, but that will be, sometimes it will live through under the mulch, and sometimes it won't, but the cloves will have enough energy to bring new greens up in the spring. Okay, we have the soft neck cloves separated, and I'm grading out the small ones from the larger ones. The smaller ones are really small, and because they have so many cloves, you're going to have to plant the soft necks cloves that are a little bit smaller, but they will produce nice bulbs for you for next fall. So now we have the cloves separated, and you can see that the hardneck cloves are quite a bit bigger than the soft neck cloves. It's because there are less cloves in a hardneck bulb than there are in a soft neck bulb. But these cloves, even though they're a little bit smaller, are going to do just as well as the hardneck. So that gets the separation. We'll pick it up out at the garden where we're going to plant these. Okay, here we are at the raised bed garden. I just removed the onions that have been growing all summer long, took the weeds out that were present, and raked up the organic soil. I did not do a lot of cultivation. but we're going to put the cloves in now. First, I'm going to put the elephant garlic in. Remember, it's a huge clove like this. The garlic should be planted about 3 to 4 inches apart, although with the elephant garlic, because it's going to be a much bigger garlic, we're going to put them about 6 inches apart. And so, and you put them with the root cap side down, because garlic does not recover real well when you plant it upside down. So we want to get the garlic in so that it comes up really well in the spring. So that's the elephant garlic. Now, I want to label the garlic so I know which is the hard neck and which is the soft neck. So we have a label here that we'll put in the ground, and we're going to plant the hard neck first. And those are the larger cloves. And remember, we put them 3 or 4 inches apart, and the rows about 6 inches apart, so that they have plenty of room to develop. Now, I don't recommend using the garlic cloves that you buy in the store, because they've been out of the ground for a long period of time, and by going and getting the bulbs, or the bulbs from a nursery like Jung's, you'll have much better luck with it. The bulbs that you get in the grocery store are usually soft neck garlics because they store better. And but we do recommend getting your original stock from Jung's. Okay, now we have the cloves pressed into the soil, and you don't have to cover them when you're putting them in, but you do have to cover them with soil. So what I've done is I've pushed them in so they're about 1 inch into the organic soil, and now we're going to cover them up with organic potting soil. You want to use a good quality potting soil. We're just going to cover the cloves. Okay, now that the soil is evenly dispersed over the cloves, I'm going to fertilize them a little bit with some Neptune's organic crab and lobster shell. Doesn't have a lot of nitrogen, but it has some phosphorus and potassium that the roots will need to get growing. So I'm just going to lightly sprinkle this on the top of the and then I'm going to just lightly incorporate it so that we get an even distribution of the nutrients. You can use almost any kind of fertilizer that's the first number is lower than the others, because you don't want to give them too much nitrogen to make them grow in the fall. So and the last thing you have to do with garlic is to mulch it. Use marsh hay. You can use, straw hay, marsh hay. Actually, you can use leaves if you grind them up a little bit. I'm not real thrilled with leaves used as a mulch, but this is marsh hay, and it's a product that's grown in marshy areas that don't have weeds that will germinate in a garden situation. So makes a very good mulch. So we're going to put about 4 to 6 inches of marsh hay, water them in a little bit to get that fertilizer incorporated and to settle the mulch a little bit, so if it's windy it doesn't blow away right away. So just enough to settle the marsh hay down and to get a little bit of that fertilizer into the soil to start the roots coming out of the cloves. Okay, so that's it. We've got our garlic planted. We'll check back in spring to see what it looks like. This is Dick Zondag, the Garden Doctor, wishing you a great crop of garlic next fall.